Hello. Shut the fuck up. Hello. Shut the fuck up. Hello. Today's podcast is brought to you by people who don't want young people to listen to what we're talking about. So if you are young, under the age of 18, be gone.
We're professionals, that is one thing for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Strange Woes podcast. I am Vincent. I'm here with the wonderful Les, the amazing John, the brilliant Marcus, the ever-intellectual Darren, and the wild card, Tom. That doesn't mean...
Thanks for the compliment.
That doesn't mean you're not wonderful or intellectual or brilliant.
But it doesn't mean I am either.
Insert Irish motto, Gaeilge motto that would, old Gaeilge saying that would suit the occasion.
Ding Jahan, a squilch na loan.
There you go, Marcus, view song.
Cause it's the Strange Wolves podcast. Come on, boys, how long's it gonna last? 30 minutes to the break, then another 30 minutes. John is holding the mic between Les's legs.
It's on camera now.
It looks quite... Oh, people can see it now. Awesome.
It's uncanny. It's exactly the same as Les's.
And Dana White's been a dirty flirt. He's telling us it would be the best show on earth. A million title fights, the best of the best. The internet broke like Kim Kardashian's ass. Connor was suggested, proper deal, top shelf. John Jones wouldn't miss it, he'll even drive himself. Then the big reveal, the card was undressed. People were shocked, the chat groups were depressed. Reactions were soft to the White House card. People spoke, they didn't get hard. So if you're looking for some action without a blue pill, Rhonda and Jeannie have a Netflix and chill. So if your kink is names from the past, tune in this summer, I don't think you'll last. We got Perry, Ngannou, Diaz, and Junior Dos Santos. Perry, Ngannou, Diaz, Junior Dos Santos. Watching this card, you won't need your pants on. Maybe some side effects, read instructions.
That was beautiful.
That was absolutely incredible. That's probably the best one yet.
I'm just glad that Les's asshole is out of my face.
No, you're not.
Yesterday.
So anybody who's an original gangster listener to the podcast, and OG, I believe the young people refer to it as, will remember that we used to do movie reviews. And it's kind of something that we've touched on or flirted with doing for a while.
Big time. And our OG listeners will remember that we had a scoring chart for how good a movie was. It was the Bloodsport. It was how many Bloodsports did it get out of 5, which I think we should bring back in. 5 being the ultimate amount of Bloodsports, 1 being the least amount. Tom.
Right. I agree.
So I thought first maybe Les would give us a synopsis, if that's the word, of the movie, and then we might either interject or follow on with our thoughts.
Seagal plays a retired DEA agent who returns to his hometown, only to find it overrun by a violent drug gang connected to a mysterious Jamaican crime lord. When his family is targeted, he goes full revenge mode.
So it starts off with the running scene, doesn't it? Have you seen the way Steven Seagal runs? He runs like
He's got a Q angle like a girl.
like a Q angle.
He's got a Q angle like a girl.
His hand goes weird and his hips going strange. He runs like he doesn't run.
Yeah, the Q angle is like that angle between the width of your hips and your knee. So it often indents on females because their hips are wider. And it makes a difference to your gait when you run. And Steven Seagal has a female Q angle.
Wow. He's got some gait on him.
That's important stuff.
I go deep, man, when I have to watch a movie.
So I'm going to be talking about his running a lot.
He runs a phenomenal amount of time in that movie. He goes to Jamaica. And I don't even believe Jamaica's Jamaica because it looks like Arabia. They got like the domes and the houses and stuff. I feel like they were just going, let's mix all the foreigners together.
Yeah.
We'll have the Jamaicans and there'll be Arabs and they'll have...
There was a grant probably in somewhere in the Middle East to film a movie. Tax break.
Eddie Grant
Hey,
Come on.
hey,
There's a reference that everyone will get.
let's rock down too.
Will the podcast crew indulge me in playing an intro song to the discussion on the movie? My name is John Hatcher, I'm just searching for some peace, but it's hard when screw faces drugging up the streets. I'm marked for dead. Marked for dead. Henchmen to hookers, no one's safe from my gun. I only know defensive strike, so take me by the hand. Marked for dead. Marked for dead. Take the other hand. I have a specific set of skills from ponytails to fists, but the following is not on that list. Running, it's harder than it looks. Kicking above the waist, I'm not a gymnast. I'm marked for dead. Marked for dead. Then things got strange, the twin twist was brazen. And throughout the movie I'll be dressing slightly Asian. 'Cause you would be running funny too if the Grim Reaper was coming for you. I'm marked for dead. Marked for dead. Now, John, your Jamaican rhyme.
No, hold on. I just want to tell you the text I got earlier on. I'm not going to read it out for you.
Don't read out the second part.
Let's talk about pressure, right?
Okay.
So I got this text earlier on from Marcus saying,
It was voicemail. So.
oh, it's a voicemail. Yeah. So basically, the idea that he had was,
Bulletproof.
wouldn't it be cool if you could break into a reggae style rap using all the rap lingo and all that kind of stuff? And I was like, okay. And then I was thinking about it for a while. And then I ended up going on to ChatGPT saying, can you help me make a reggae rap? Because I don't know any of the reggae words. And then it misunderstood and actually wrote the song. And maybe, Les, you can attach that on at the end. I was doing a song about Chino Carano against Ronda Rousey. And it did the song was just mad stupid. But anyway, and then I was like, I actually wrote out a rap. Based on Mark for Death that would have fit perfectly in there, and it was based only on the dialogue that the Jamaicans were given. So things like, everybody want go heaven, nobody want deaths, real, you are a blood clot, you are a bomba clot, batty hole, you a work for I-man now, you do the selling, you a be the mule. Well, I added in Shabba because I like Shabba. But anyway, yeah. And then just as you were singing that, I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. So, no, I'm not doing it. But I did write it, though.
You did right. Fair play. It was beautiful. It was from the heart.
It was from the heart. It would have been amazing, but no. Yeah.
I'm marked for death, but I can't run. Either could you if you had a cue hanging in your hip. This ain't no trip.
There you
They're
go.
trying to sell drugs, but I just want to give them hugs.
Yeah, but that's not in the style of a reggae thing. Like,
That's the style of Steven Seagal.
yeah. No,
It's the style of
it was
Steven
good, it was
Seagal.
good.
I'm trying to channel him trying to do the style
He's your
of
muse.
a Jamaican drug lord.
He's your muse.
I think you're Jamaican. Everyone want to watch that movie.
I
The way
made-
you just did that.
I made some notes. Well, I started taking notes about the movie. And then I stopped, and I'll tell you why. So this is the extent of the notes that I took. The first one was obviously in the horror house, but like horrors don't, again, I don't know, but Les
Where was she keeping the gun?
Huh?
Where did she keep the
No,
gun?
but that's it. Yeah, like I don't know what Les was telling me. They don't just walk around naked in there. They kind of have clothes on most of the time. So why was she naked? And what did she hope to achieve by saying, "Oh no, don't shoot," and then shooting a dude? As in, she just could have not shot him, and they would have kept going. Why was she naked? And why was she armed and naked? That was the first note. The second one was when
Can I ask you before you get off that topic? Did she shoot Chico?
Yeah,
She did, yeah.
So she murdered his partner in her underwear.
yeah.
And then Steven Seagal had the worst reaction ever. She fired the whole gun everywhere, and he shot all over the place.
And that wasn't going to bring anybody back.
What are you doing, Stephen? You fired the whole gun everywhere.
But after
I think
that,
the door was closed too, and he just kept firing.
but after that, he went to confession, where one would go after such a thing, and he went on to say, "I've just killed a woman. I've lied. I've slept with informants." I've taken drugs and falsified evidence. I did whatever I had to do to get the bad guys. And then he realizes there's his epiphany. I am, in fact, the bad guy. So the priest, I admit,
Where's the sins?
But I haven't
Stephen?
been to confession in a long time, right? But I do remember the last time I went to confession, I probably said
When
something
was your
like,
last confession, John?
probably when I was 10 or 11, when I was attractive to priests. But it was like, I probably said something like, I hit my brother and I stole some sweets. And I had to do like 3 Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers. And fucking Steven Seagal got nothing.
The priest goes to him, "Do you have family, son?" And Steven Seagal is like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. He's probably got like a wife and 10 kids." But no, he just went home to his sister.
So he got
Who had
no
kids.
penance whatsoever.
Well, I think they were kind of alluding to his sexuality there when he said, "I've slept with informants."
Maybe.
He didn't say.
Because like he killed a lot of people in that brothel or whatever, a whorehouse, right? And then he
A
specified,
working man's club.
yeah, and then he specified that he shot a woman to the priest, and in the next sentence said, "I slept with informants," which is very neutral.
Yeah.
And like fair play to, I think it would add to
aggressive.
his character if he was bisexual.
You do whatever you can. I'm not saying he's bisexual, but you do whatever you can to get the information. That's how good he was as a cop,
Yeah. Like so much so that he'd be going out to bars late at night looking for people who look like they have secrets. He's like, that man there, I need to get the
Like John
information out of
Jones.
him.
I just feel like the film would have benefited tremendously from the priest saying, go find your family, be with them. And I think he said something along the lines of, try and find that better man inside of you. And also do 6 Hail Marys and fucking decade the rosary.
Does he give him any prayers?
No, it doesn't. It's quite outrageous.
Well, there probably wasn't any sins, was there?
Well, 1 or 2 in there. The openly gay football team, I was happy to see an openly gay football team that were like, okay, you guys, 4 laps and hit the showers. And they all go, yeah! And it's like the most exciting. I was like, okay, gay football teams, that's awesome. Wasn't expecting to see that.
The whole movie is probably a little bit gay, though.
Yeah. And that's okay too. It's just a tip. But in the club...
Before we go further, still on the hooker scene. Is it just before one of them is murdered by Seagal, she goes, "Pour de four, no mas, no mas." And I just enjoyed that. And he's like, "Yeah, Bob."
Well, that means no respect in Irish, so maybe she was saying that.
No mass, only confession.
So the awkwardness of the two, Stephen and your man who was in Platoon, I don't know his name.
He was very good.
He's a great actor and a really cool dude, and he really does
The character,
steal
Max
scenes.
Keller.
Yeah. So at some point they're in the club and you can just, even as an actor, you can see how hard it is to act when Steven Seagal turns around to him and says, "Some hormones in here." And he goes, "Oh yeah." And it's just, it must be one of the hardest lines he's ever had to deliver because the script is so fucking weak. Some hormones in here. If any said that to me, if we were anywhere, I'd be like, what has happened to you? It's outrageously stupid. And then your man reveals that his 13-year-old nephew died in a crack house. And I'm wondering, what kind of an uncle was he? At that point, I stopped and I thought to myself, this is the same as taking any of the John Wick films. They're all the fucking same. It's the same. It's not better or worse. It is all just the same.
It's just money laundering.
Yeah, and
it's marked for debt.
It's a genre.
GBT.
It's called mess with the wrong MFer.
yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
It's a genre, like that's
A
what they call it.
revenge
Yeah,
type
mess with
thing,
the wrong
yeah.
MFer, but they say the word, which I wouldn't dream of saying.
So there you go. It's all of those movies that have just
it's
and
funny.
and I was trying to kind of pick holes in whatever, and then I gave up. It's also wildly unmemorable. I've had to watch it 2 or 3 times.
I can't
over the
get it
last
out of my
few
head,
months.
man.
Oh really?
It's funny as well how he at no stage tries to pick up a woman in any of these clubs or look at a woman and him a single man.
Because he's gay.
Well, yeah, maybe because there's even a woman who tries to pick up him. She's supposed to be an expert on the occult, as you've probably all noticed that the movie features a cultic practice called Obey, which is still very, very prevalent in Jamaica and Cuba today. In fact, there was a guy sent to jail this time last year in Jamaica for practicing it. And the government are trying to legalize it. And
I thought it was voodoo.
yeah, well, I suppose it's under that umbrella. It's just a specific one.
Okay.
And
Spitting alcohol at chickens and cutting them up and stuff.
well, that's the Hollywood version anyway.
Having
Yeah.
a bath.
I
with
love the
boobs
fact,
out.
like in that whole ceremony that she was doing, she was like using the same Bacardi that my mum drinks.
So
News flash to Les.
Have you ever noticed any chickens on a Sunday roast that were kind of cut weirdly?
Mom, this chicken tastes delicious.
Speaking of the medium woman or one with spiritual abilities, the opening scene, I think it might have been the one that introduced her, was this long drawn out bath scene of her standing naked in the bath. But when I was
That
first
was the
watching
best
it-
part of the movie.
When I first watched, I thought, is this Steven Seagal's ass? Because it just showed the ass. It was kind of ambiguous. It's like, wow, they're really all in on his ass. So obviously that's what put bumps in seats.
So for me, with Steven Seagal, a lot of his movies were funded by the Gambino family. So like I think about like, I don't know if you've ever watched Sopranos, where Christie is going off trying to make these like really shitty movies, and they're like trying to pump money in, the legal money, to try to launder it. I really get that feeling from a lot of like the Steven Seagal movies, and that's kind of like, that's what it is.
That's why they called it Mark for Debt.
Yeah, I think this might be one of his last actual box office movies.
Yeah.
Before the rest.
Can I just get back to the whole bit of like the woman, the expert in the occult, trying to pick him up?
Please do.
And
The woman in the white dress.
no, this is he goes to a police expert
Person
to
in a
be
white
like,
dress.
He was
why?
also he was also approached by the second lady in the club in the white dress who was all over him like
yes,
a rash.
100%.
they
He
were-
also rejected her overtures. So
I think he was more interested in that football team than he was letting on.
I think you could be right. So this expert lady, anyway, she's kind of chatting him up when he goes to see her about the case. And I actually texted Marcus and didn't send him the text. So this has been on my phone for about 2 months.
Story of my life.
It was just so that I got the script, and I was like, did I really hear that? So she says to him, I don't think there's a lot of guys like you anywhere. And he just met this lady, and she goes, what? He goes, what's that supposed to mean? And she goes, I've met a guy who is nice, not married, gay, or trying to find himself. And he's trying very hard to get himself killed. And instead of getting the hint and being like, okay, I'm in an apartment alone with a reasonably attractive professional woman, and she's just made overtures, he just like goes, well, I have some unfinished business, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So
Do you think the priest was hinting that he should go for her? He's like, settle the fuck down.
yeah, he was like, do you have any family?
Family, make
Yeah,
family.
Make some.
Go be fruitful.
Stephen was like, I've got some unfinished business in the nightclub with some informants. I haven't even met them yet, but I know they're hiding information, and I'm gonna beat it out of them.
Cut back to the next confession. I was back at the informant's father.
Oh yeah, jeez, there's a train of informants. Information was flowing all night, father.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Do you know the way it was just saying like the Jamaican gang is like taking over because they're so organized and they've got weapons and they're taking over all the other gangs. It was one guy running the whole thing and he didn't even speak sense. Like it was
Two guys.
Two guys.
That's the big twist at the end. Is that
Sorry
there's
to ruin it
twins.
for the listener who hasn't seen it.
Oh well, I clearly haven't been watching it.
So that's the logistical question you've put out there. Now it makes sense that they've got two.
See,
half the workload.
Two guys can take over the whole place.
Half the workload.
They also, like, there was a kind of a major spoiler when they had that Italian crime guy come in relatively early. And
With the sauna shotgun.
no, this is for the conversation.
the
and your man
Gambino
was like,
insert, character insert.
you're going to be my mule now or whatever. And at some point, the shadowy figure in the background walks past and it's like, oh, so he's a twin brother. So it was no M. Night Shyamalan kind of twist. It was kind of like, that's probably his twin brother.
Yeah.
Well, it worked on me.
Yeah, it worked. It worked on Tom.
So
Well, actually, it didn't. Marcus worked on me.
I think realistically, it was in a lot of ways quite unremarkable.
But it was interesting, though, the way there was a couple of things about it that never would happen in a movie now, looking back. So, first of all, when Chico was shot Like Chico was killed, and okay, he resigned his commission or whatever, but he clearly did not give a sugar about Chico being shot. And Chico being shot was completely his fault because Chico told him, our cover has been blown, we can't go in now, and he went in anyway. So that was weird. Like nowadays in a movie, that at least the male character would have to show some remorse or whatever if they got their partner killed, right?
And they would be like nowadays the revenge movies tend to be secret agents or what's the one that nobody, he's like whatever, they've all worked for the government, whereas this guy was just a fundamentally really corrupt cop that could be a baddie in another movie.
Who was on a complete ego trip. Like he didn't consider his sister's safety, her children's safety. He was just going to get these guys. He dragged his high school buddy into some sort of crime killing spree.
His niece was shot, and there's a scene, of course, with him in the hospital, and the doctor says, like, she's going to need surgery because it's so serious, and then it shows her, and it just looks like she's having a pleasant nap. She's got a little bit of a bandage on her head, but Seagal acting is so bad that because like he goes in like to visit her or like and it looks like he's considering his future, whether he's going to turn his life around and be good or whatever like that. But the way it comes across is like he's got a face full of disgust and he's going to put the pillow over her head. Like his facial acting is that bad.
Weak.
Like yeah.
I could be out chasing informants right now, but instead I'm here visiting you. I should be out in line for the next drop of Asian clothes apparel that I exclusively wear throughout this movie that should be spoken about.
But what he says to the doctor, he goes to the doctor and he says, like, he goes, "You treat her like the president of America." And then your doctor's like, "We treat all our patients the same." And he goes, "You treat her like the president of America."
But it's John Wick, it's Nobody, it's what's the other one that we were saying? Like they're all
At least John Wick, the action scenes are good. Whereas in this, as Marcus pointed out in the song, he can't kick above his own waist. The lads, he's a fight with a dude called Nesta in an apartment when he goes to try and shake down Jimmy Fingers for information. And
I'm Jimmy Fingers. I'm a made man.
It wasn't his first tussle with Jimmy Fingers.
I knew him, he knew him. And your man, he has to kick this guy Nesta in the stomach. And Nesta's small and he's still bending down to let your man Seagal kick him.
Was he the guy with the little black briefs?
He was the guy.
Danny DeVito.
Sorry, Jimmy Fingers was the guy with the little black briefs.
Okay. Where did he pull the gun out of?
Well, no, I'm glad you asked that because I originally thought he literally pulled it out of his ass. But having watched it today for about the fourth time, I actually put it up on the group. He takes it off the tray or takes it from somewhere with
tray.
One hand. He puts it in the other hand. Then he puts it in the other hand and he shoots him.
Sneaky
So it
Italians.
wasn't actually out of his ass. But
Classic fingers.
it looked like that.
Yeah.
like the one thing out of this movie that I was interested to see more is a bit like Better Call Saul. I'd love to see a movie about Jimmy Fingers. Like at some point,
a series.
At some point, Dredd and one of the other dudes are saying, "What up, Dredd? Them let you out? Yes, man. No one can hold me when Jimmy Fingers is on my side." And you're like, fucking Jimmy Fingers,
Yeah.
You could do it about his earlier life and call it Jimmy Fingers, the child.
There'll be some confessions in there too.
Yeah. Jimmy Fingers too. The full fist. Like it's the franchise.
And can I ask as well, like, how did they get all the guns to Jamaica when they were going on the killing spree?
I had a big problem with that. Yeah.
I would also say this, right? The time it's pre 9/11 where I would bring swords back from Spain as a child in my bag.
Yeah.
I think you could bring some
True for
guns
you.
if you're an
Plane.
adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they had a fair amount of baggage and weapons and whatever.
They were up to no
As
good.
access security is you're traveling quite a distance from the States to Jamaica, and there was quite a amount. Like that was the one thing about that whole thing. It was like actually it was one of the least believable things in the movie.
They had a great amount of weapons in the movie. Like your man would hold two guns up to Steven Seagal, and then another guy would take out like a cutlass from the 15th century and hold it up to him. So
The sword fight was excellent. Two men clearly lied on their CV where they said, "I've had classical sword training." They did not. They did not. And they weren't about to be shown how to do it by a stunt coordinator either. They just went at it and
Yeah, it wasn't exactly the Black Pirate Roberts versus
no, it was
Manuel Inigo Montoya or whatever
but at
his
the
name
same
is.
time
I will have my revenge.
in this finger or the next. But it wasn't either like two people having a fight with swords, they only use them just wildly throwing them at each other. It wasn't that either. So it still managed to be very poor, regardless of skill.
What blood sports would you give it out of 5?
Oh, can I ask another question before we do that? How do they get the severed head back through customs? Whatever about you're saying 9/11, it was a free world back then. You could take guns and swords everywhere. But
It's a shameful indictment on the customs at the time.
No wonder Jamaica was rife with crime.
You probably have to pay tax on it. Extra €50.
A lot of things with
head.
customs with that is how you fill out the paperwork. For example, you would put in head of lettuce. All right? They're thinking head of lettuce. They don't know it's head and lettuce. So you can do clever tricks like that. You can trick customs. Right, Les?
I think agriculturally speaking, you're probably more likely to get the head in than you would the lettuce, because the lettuce would harbour parasites and whatever you get.
A lot like what drug traffickers.
Unlike heads.
Drug traffickers put, if they're coming through in their carry-on, they'll put their drugs in the bag, and then on top of it, they put a big dildo. So when you open it up, you're like, oh, I won't search that. They open it, they find the lettuce, they take the lettuce. They're not looking for the head. They found the lettuce. We've given it to them. That's how you traffic. I shouldn't be telling this to an audience because it's really going to...
They'll be doing it on Monday.
Criminal implications.
But it was weird because they made so much effort with the movie to try and be, like, maybe it was the Gambino money, but they made so much effort to try and be like a cool movie, have the occult stuff in it. They mentioned some sort of, I had to look it up, I'd never heard of it. Your man Screwface was linked to the Jamaican, or sorry, it was actually Cuban. For some reason they got that wrong, but it was a Cuban secret society called the Acuba or something. And I was like, what's that? And that was a whole cool rabbit hole on the internet. I was like, these people, like, they really did it. No, they got it wrong, like, because it was Jamaica, not Cuba, but they did try to make it interesting.
For all its shortcomings, the movie grossed 5 times its budget, so it was a really big success.
Yeah.
You know?
You wouldn't get that in a movie nowadays.
Seagal, I'd say it was Steven Seagal's last hit. After that, but it was a
that
hit.
was, I'd say, Under Siege was after this one, was it? I'd say what it seemed. Yeah. And Glimmer Man.
And Under Siege too.
Yeah.
Dark Territory.
Did that come after, did it?
Yeah, I would give it, to answer your question, John, I would give it 2 blood sports. It did stick in my head, but a lot of it was like, what if they'd only got the acting right, or if they'd only tightened up the plot line, or if they'd only...
who could run.
Yeah, or, how many would you give it?
I think it is, I would give it the same as I would give John Wick 2, 3 and 4, Taken.
You don't think John Wick's better?
No, it's the same.
Wow.
I think it was more believable than certainly John Wick, probably 3 and 4, which is just, it's like a 90s arcade game where you're just standing there punching guys and there's no threat to anyone other than these people and their poor families. So it's, like, at least they tried, and they tried to have a different, bring it somewhere else, and they tried to have the a relatively interesting idea for a baddie.
They really tried, yeah.
They did try. So I'd give it the same as any of the, like, 3 out. Like, it's no blood sport. So I 3 out of 5. Blood
That's
sports.
pretty good, though. Yeah. That's pretty good, yeah.
How many blood sports is blood sport again? Sorry.
It's 5 out of 5. Yeah.
5.
It's the most amount of blood sports.
Yeah.
I suppose.
There's
blood sport.
Well, there's none more blood sport.
Yeah, Bloodsport 2 got 4 blood sports out of Bloodsport. So
How many would you give it, Marcus?
yeah, I'd probably give it just the 1 blood sport, and I'm giving it. It's really from how bad he runs and how bad he offensively. He's not able to throw any punches or anything. It's all his attacks have to come someone running at him. That's all he's got. So
Keto, am I right?
Yeah.
Unless he's got a sword.
Even the sword, I wouldn't be bragging about my sword play if I was him. It was pretty bad.
He breaks the distance in one fight by screaming, "I don't care about this girl." That's how he sort of like gets close to the guy.
Have you ever tried that? It works every
And
time.
he genuinely doesn't care about the girl or any other girl.
It's very.
He's an anti-hero to the point of, I don't know how much of a hero he is. Like, what really does he do?
Yes.
He is an absolute bastard, an absolute corrupt fucker. He gets other people into trouble, and he doesn't do any penance after confession.
And everyone in the world seems to love him. They all, like, everyone he meets is just sings his praises.
Like, there's a car chase, and like he crashes into like a big swanky jewelry store. He kills multiple people, leaves a discarded gun full of bullets around the place. No one rings the police, obviously, and no one's around.
He is the police.
And then, like, there's no one who comes to his house afterwards and questions him about that massive incident that happened downtown, you know.
You mean his sister's house?
His sister's house. And clearly he's known around the place because like there's a DEA guy who knew him on site earlier on. So
When you show up to his house and you see him answer the door in his kimono, you're going, whoa, this guy knows how to handle himself.
Just
No, thank you.
In relation to the car chase, at one point it's quite hilarious. I think he's driving after the four lads in the van, and they drive up the curb onto the sidewalk or whatever, and you can clearly see there's loads and loads of people in the background, and he almost unloads the clip just in that direction, and off they drive. Like many people must have died. He's implicated probably in a large number of crimes. So like, you know, what's the outcome? Did he do anything great? He killed this gang.
The moral of the story is you're better off not messing with Jamaican drug gangs. Just leave well enough alone.
Well enough alone.
Max Keller's character, you know, the PE teacher or whatever he was, he should have just accepted, well, some of the team are going to be lost to drug use.
And he should have tried maybe could have done it better on the 13-year-old getting into crack.
True.
You know,
True.
That lad was
Based.
so enthusiastic about a bit of crack. He's like, whoa, is that
in your defense? though,
Don't be blaming the Jamaican drug gangs
yeah.
for your own family's failings.
exactly. It's like try and be a better family member. You know, show the child some love.
That 13-year-old had agency. He was going straight after the crack, wherever it was.
It's unfair now, especially in the 90s. The child protection policies in crack houses was not what it needs to be.
Just say no.
A lot of good people got caught up in the trap.
He's like, what's that? Is that crack you're smoking? Can I have some?
We've got no policy. Why not?
Times have changed.
Who's the DLP?
Tom, how many blood sports would you give it?
I'll give it like a blood.
Okay,
that was shite.
so
I'm changing mine to
Blood
2,
clot.
actually. I'm sorry, I'm changing mine to 2,
so
yeah.
we've got 2, 2, 1, 1. Darren, how many did you give it?
You're half.
I give it 1. I don't like Steven Seagal at all, just because
Okay.
outside of the movie, just
yeah, no one likes
everything
him,
with him, I stand very much against him. Like even his propaganda with Russia now and going over there to escape whatever he's going at, and then him as a fake police officer going around and squishing dogs on raids and everything. Like,
So
you know.
he's still doing like he did in
Sorry,
the car
Darren,
chase.
will you tell us about that? Because I'm
that's
not
awesome.
aware of that.
So-
I'm aware that for some reason people in Russia love him. I don't know why. But
So he moved to Russia. So essentially,
Oh, okay.
I think maybe it might be tax evasion. I don't know why, but essentially he has. You know what it is? It's actually predatory behavior. I remember now in the documentary. So he's a predator. So he moved to Russia to
Like the kind of aliens who kind of got infrared.
No,
Could have
like
used that in a movie, couldn't
a
he?
sex predator.
We had one of them in our club.
every club has one.
So he moved to Russia to
Martial arts.
evade the charges, essentially. So now he lives in Russia and he trains some of the oligarchs and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
in his special techniques. But before
Techniques of evasion.
yes, evasion of the crime. But also then he used to go around and do like a cops type show where he would.
I think it was called Lawman.
Lawman. Yeah. So he was.
He played the bass as well on that show. I remember.
So he was the lawman, but one of their raids went wrong where there was a little dog behind the thing as the riot crew is driving over the fence. They squished the dog and then they arrest the guy, and it was the wrong guy. So he just killed the dog for no reason. So
This
it's
is a
like,
documentary. This isn't a show. This is him going around with kind of deputized with the sheriffs.
It was around the same time as Dog the Bounty Hunter, actually.
yeah,
Speaking of
probably he's
dogs.
trying to do a little rip off. But yeah, so Steven Seagal, not a fan.
So you're giving him a 1.
I give it a 0 if I could.
Okay, because he killed a dog. You can give him a 0.
But that's a politically motivated 0. Yeah, so like.
Have you even
know,
watched the movie?
Yeah.
I watched the movie.
The amazing thing about the Lawman show is if you watch it, and other people have spoke about this, so it's not an original thought, but he does it every time Steven Seagal comes in contact with a black person. He's like, "Hey, brother, I hear you," you know, and he's like,
I do that.
Yeah,
That's classic, like Dog the Bounty Hunter move as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I
like-
thought that was like good interpersonal skills, relating to people on their level, no?
he's putting out the handshakes. He's talking. Same if he meets anyone from remotely from Asia, they're getting a bow. Oh, they're getting a bow, even if they're born in America. So he's culturally aware, I suppose.
he's put on a lot of weight as well. So instead of a bounty hunter, he's a Mars bar hunter.
Les, how many would you give it?
I'm going to give it 4 for 2 scenes that I really love.
Coming up the average here.
One was he was admiring a sniper rifle, And he proceeds to test it out by shooting a block that's about 3 meters away from him. And like the guy's like genuinely impressed his buddies, before they go on their tour to Jamaica or wherever it was. And then he tests a machine gun by using like a full carcass of beef, which would have cost more than all the arsenal that he just bought of the arms
Beef
dealer.
was cheap back then, though.
Oh,
Larry
yeah.
Goodman was selling it off to all sorts of countries while it was out of date.
And then the other one was when he dance walked into a nightclub wearing a black blazer with sleeves rolled up and nothing on underneath. And why I loved that scene was because it was the only one that he looked kind of happy.
Are you saying no vest?
No, no vest.
Bear,
No.
bear.
Oh no, that was
I've
just
forgotten that.
pure.
Wow.
When you need information fast from an informant, you need to be able to get out of that suit.
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I right?
Every
don't
girl
know.
was immediately in love with him.
Yeah.
That's more of it, no.
So what movie could we do next?
Before we do that, can we just get the average? So we've got 4, 2.
Let's not get the average.
1,
What? Half. I got a half.
2, 0, a half. So what's the average? Is that someone? Is
2.
that it? So
2.
2 is so it got 2 blood sports out of 5.
So we'd recommend it as, maybe a follow up to watching a blood rated movie, Bloodsport rated movie. Then you could watch this one afterwards as a come down.
It doesn't rate highly in even the so bad it's good movies that we've watched.
Yeah, it's too good to be that because they try too hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Having your man, he's a good actor, but like the first,
Your man is he's a guy from Something About Mary. He's in Platoon or whatever. He's a brilliant actor. He just steals whatever scene he's on. Like he's just a level above everything else in that movie.
His name is Keith David.
Yes, he and clearly Jimmy Fingers. So
probably the inspiration for the Tom Green movie Freddy Got Fingered.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Unironically, a fantastic comedy movie. I love that, and I don't care.
Cheese Factory.
And there's no resolution at all in the movie. Like, there's no word that the niece got better, or that they stopped attacking the sister, or whatever, or that he turned his life
She's the
around.
president of America now, no?
The final scene is him carrying a dead Rastafarian, and an injured African American man was carrying 2 revolvers, limping along beside him. And I just took a note of that because it reminded me of Thursday night of my first rag week.
Yeah, but as you say, there's no character arc. Like, he hasn't learned anything. He has just gone back to his thing. He's probably going to go back to work. He was on paid leave, paid suspension. Well, no, paid leave, wasn't it? And they're like, the chief of police was like, we need you here. We need you planting that evidence and murdering women and, sleeping with some dudes. So he'll be back. Like,
Democracies in South America.
yeah, so all he's learned is, just do more of it.
Got away with it, and I learned nothing.
Is Beverly Hills Cop just a better movie? The same type of concept.
Well, Beverly Hills Cop is
He wasn't always a cop,
joyful, and it's a bit of crack,
different.
and and they do. It's two sides of a coin.
It's a
And there's great
vehicle for
music,
Eddie.
great soundtrack,
Yeah.
Beverly Hills
And
Cop.
the vehicle for Eddie Murphy just is comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they're very
that's a
different.
great movie. What are you talking about?
man.
No, but I said it's the better version of it because it's just the same concept.
Beverly Hills Cop as well is a lot less violent. There's a lot less Eddie Murphy's character. Axel Foley, is that the name of the character? There's a lot less of him indiscriminately shooting
It
random
was
people.
inspired by Crazy Frog, I believe.
The body count is a lot lower.
But maybe we could do Beverly Hills Cop next, but that's probably you're reviewing
good.
a classic movie.
No, we
there.
have to do something that, like, even that one was skating the edge of. Yeah, it was grand. It was whatever.
What about the North Korean movie, the North Korean martial arts movie?
Let's do it.
Can we
pronounce it?
Can we do
Ocarina of Time.
Armor of God first?
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I mentioned it there, and I kind of want to watch
is
it again.
Is it good? Is it good?
Yeah, it's great, but it's silly.
Oh, it's silly. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
And it's like maybe it is too good actually.
I throw out a suggestion. I don't know of maybe something with Chuck Norris since he RIP'd.
It's true. We could do
Oh,
something
yeah.
with Chuck
Give
Norris.
Chuck
Yeah.
Out of
give him the rub,
respect.
give him
Out
the
of
rub.
respect.
Would we be able to review that with full, because he's passed away, would we be able to review that with
With him here in the room. Good talk.
No, because I think I'd be giving him too much kudos almost.
What about Fatal Deviation? Have you done that already?
You talked about it,
that
but
the
I don't know
Irish
did we
one?
do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
John,
we did
John
that.
talked about it.
We did it
now,
twice, I
we,
think.
we could do it a third time because there's lots of viewers that have not heard our previous podcasts.
What we could do, I'll tell you what we could do, is we could do, if we want to do a Chuck Norris movie, we could do Enter the Dragon, and let's broach the whole Bruce Lee as an actor versus as a martial artist.
Is he in Enter the Dragon?
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris is in. Sorry, it is.
Because I think Chuck Norris might be in a different
Or
movie.
is he one? Whatever.
He's in the
Like-
one where they fight in
yeah.
the Coliseum.
Or smoke a cigarette with
right.
the dragon after entering it.
Pardon?
Smoke. Is that the name of the second movie?
It was after climax.
Sorry, I did not get that at all. I did
Dragon,
not get
that doesn't
I
normally
apologize.
happen.
He's like, "Come on, dragon, you bitch! I'll be dragging my balls off your face."
I have one related to MMA that is a documentary, but I'm sure maybe you guys have seen it. Is the original, not the new remake with The Rock, but the original Smashing Machine with Mark Kerr. So I don't know if everybody's seen that, but that's a good one too.
The documentary.
Yeah.
I've seen the original, yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially Mark Kerr and Pride.
Oh, it's
and
fantastic.
But that's like that's a real meaningful
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's really good, but it's not
yeah.
comparable to
We
Bloodsport.
want a movie.
gotta
We
be
want a
comparable
movie
to
that's
Bloodsport.
kind of 80s kitsch and terrible,
And that we can shit on, yeah.
but at the same time we'll enjoy watching. So I think Chuck Norris could be. Could we find
Or
out the movie
Armor.
that Chuck Norris is in with Bruce Lee? Because it could be Enter the
Whichever one
Dragon.
of that. What's the second one called?
So I think
like
it's
The Way of the Dragon.
Way of the Dragon. Okay.
Go way out of here, Dragon.
The Whale of the Dragon. Am I a whale? Am I a dragon?
We give, yeah,
But
is
I'm
that
sure
one?
the listeners are enjoying immensely hearing us discuss what movies
Hey,
we may
well,
review in the
hey,
We could
future.
have done this before the podcast.
Right, hey,
really
if this is
could've.
going to be on YouTube, we could do the, by the way, click like and subscribe. I'm joking.
Click, like, and subscribe.
But leave a comment below about what movie we should watch.
Yeah, get engagement, John. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Viewership engagement.
Okay, well, let's go once around the table and give what movie you want
Yeah.
us to do.
Bit more.
Give a line on as to why you want us to do it, and then let the comments and let the viewers decide. And if they have a wild card themselves, now I don't know if we'll be able to read Taiwanese, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure there's a translation thing.
Taiwanese listeners, if you have any recommendations, maybe just whatever products you're making, write it down in them, and when they get to us, we'll.
I think they just like our laughter. That's why they put us on.
And shout out to Eugene.
Eugene.
Eugene, woo!
Woo. We said we'd give him a shout out, and now we've done it. We might try and do it every podcast.
I
should have a
didn't
Eugene
commit to
section.
Eugene. I'm not a part of the
Okay,
show.
once around the table. So, what movie and why?
Fatal Deviation, just because I haven't seen it.
There you go.
Vincent.
Anyone with Chuck Norris in it, just because he passed away. But we'll get around to all of them.
North Korean one from like 2007 because it comes across as a 1970s movie. It's class.
I'll go with this movie. It's called The Eliminator. It has Bas Rutten and I think Shogun in it as well from 2004.
That's bound to be absolute muck, but could be funny.
I'll have you know it
muck.
has 3 out of 10.
Oh, I might watch that myself in the meantime anyway, just to yeah.
Now a modern one. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think Chuck. There's a female equivalent of Chuck Norris. What's
China O'Brien.
China O'Brien. I wouldn't mind going down a bit of a China
I
O'Brien.
genuinely loved those movies with her.
And
in it
we
back in the
did
day.
that.
We did watch one. It was
Yeah.
terrible. Every so often a mom would just come and pick her up and put her in the boot.
And
That
her
was the end of it.
co-star in those movies was always a guy in the movies with her, and he was the baddie in Jim Carter.
And we watched Jim Carter as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we went deep on that.
I think we should do that one, whichever away inside the dragon. There's some good, there's actually. I'd be excited to see the Fatal Deviation again. I haven't watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies. I always prefer Jackie Chan movies because of the element of humor, and the stunts are just spectacular.
We haven't done a Jackie Chan movie either.
They're too good though.
They're too good, yeah. But at the same time, there's a silliness about Armor of God. There's a silliness about some of the early ones. And there's a silliness about Armor of God that, but it's actually a brilliant movie. So let's disregard it, but I'm going to go home and watch it this evening myself.
Marcus, by any chance, did any of our erstwhile listeners send in some questions which we might peruse and do our very, very best to answer?
Yes, quite right, Finney. My doorbell was ringing so frequently I had to turn it off. So the first question is from Warren. He's a long-time listener. Sends
Shout out to
plenty of-
Warren.
Plenty of
I know him.
questions.
Air code.
He has a really long question and some other stuff in it. But the start of his question is, do you think MMA as a sport is dying? Maybe I'm getting older and more cynical, but I feel in regards to UFC that it feels like they don't have real stars anymore. GSP, Silva, Ronda, McGregor, etc. Also, if we could bring back Tom Hogan's top 5, that would be great. Possibly something different like top 5 best walkouts.
We could do one on the dancing. I haven't done one on dancing in a while.
And then the last bit of his question is it's more of a, I'll read it in one go. Could we do a welfare check on that Emmett lad with the odd questions? He's giving off some real Ed Kemper vibes. And lastly, a fight companion in the future would be fun, but instead of UFC, maybe give Power Slap a go. The Strange Loves commentary would make for an interesting pod.
Actually, in fairness, the first question's a great question.
Well,
You know,
done,
it's a-
Warren. Shout out to Warren.
No, Warren, that's a great question. And I think, Warren's much younger than us, but you go through that feeling and it's kind of like, you know, back in my day, it was much better. But I suppose it's just, you know, the elderly don't understand
The
popular
amount of
culture,
MMA
and it
fighters
just
there is
doesn't
now,
make
like,
it.
you know, it's impossible to keep up with them. Now I don't try, granted.
yeah.
But like back in the day, there was only about 10 of them. It was easy in each weight division. Maybe it was handy to.
Yeah, no, but I definitely feel like that too. That I watched the fights, but I could back in the day, you'd be thirsty to find out who's that fighter, and you might go off and watch highlights, or you might go off and read Sherdog or whatever it was. I don't even know if that's still on. It's probably gone with MySpace or whatever. Is it? Yeah, but just that sense of like what's happening with it. What's going on.
Back in the day, there was so much more kind of stylistic differences, maybe. Whereas nowadays, the MMA fighters are becoming so unified, you know, in style, because there is a right way to fight. A lot of them.
Now I have to say, I watched most of the UFC of the last time. There was some brilliant fights, like really exciting stuff, and really cool stuff as well. Obviously, there was some crap stuff too, but I suppose there's so many fighters.
You're not as connected.
What were their
Not as connected.
What were their names?
Exactly.
I was thinking about this as well. I think it's a case of it's not the music we grew up with that's being played right now. So we're more nostalgic to our
and you want to have your Undertaker, and you want to have your Kane, and you want to have your Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know, and like GSP or what, like you want to have that kind of thing where it's like you're counting down to their fights and watching stuff in between. Whereas now I couldn't tell you when the next one is, couldn't tell you who's fighting in any of the next ones. Like I'll watch them all, but it's just, I think it is a connection thing. Yeah. And like
on my side, it's a few things. One, those old fights were so sparse between. So you had you were hungry for it. You got to be developed and engaged through their media or whatever they're putting out related to this fighter. You get to actually know the fighter, who they are, what their background is in and outside of the cage. And now it's so oversaturated because we have fights every single week. And the reason we have fights every single week is because we have $7 billion deals going out to Paramount that require fights to be on every week. And it's no longer about developing talent. It's about developing the league, not the fighters. It's not about the fighters anymore. It never really was about the fighters, but the fighters were core towards the product. And now it's that's completely gone by the wayside. And I think martial arts has developed as well, where you look at a guy, Michael Venom Page, in his London fight. He threw 3 strikes against Sam Patterson, and he said, "Oh, well, I fought well because I didn't get hit." So these fights are not exciting. But then you've guys that are coming in, and I'd encourage anybody to watch these fights, would be Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett.
that was
It was amazing.
It was a great
and
fight.
he's playing a little bit of a character, and you can kind of buy into these narratives, but but you don't get exposed to them as much because, again, just as we're done that one, we're on to the next one. And now we're on to a new story and a new champion and a new guy that's trying to overcome the division, but the story is the same.
I think as well we're perceiving it that way because we've been watching the sport for so long. But from what I'm hearing in dressing room chit chat at the club, people who've only been watching the sport maybe 2-3 years, these people that are being exposed to it for the first time they're as into them, they're following them as much as we would have when we started following the sport. These stars are as big to them. Josh is like that they wouldn't have seen Chael Sonnen in his prime, knowing all the antics and all those tricks.
They look at Chelsea and they're like, him? Are you serious?
That's pretty tame.
That's a very good point. Like when you think
Thank
about it,
you,
when we
John.
start, like we know all of these, like Cabbage. They're like, remember that dude Cabbage and
And Butterbean.
Shogun and Ronan and all of these.
Bob Sapp.
Yeah, Bob Sapp. And like all of these names, you knew the names. You'd kind of have a good idea who was coming out next. But I'm sure people like the youth
And they'd
probably
be
know.
related to each other as well. Like
Huh?
you'd have like Ninja and Shogun all related to each other.
Yeah,
You'd have
and-
like families.
And,
going
like I suppose we used to talk about it an awful lot more as well about these fighters. Whereas now it's like, we probably don't sit around as much and chat about MMA, maybe as much as the lads would or the girls.
Yeah, but also I suppose it's become a more regulated, recognized sport as opposed to the wild carnival days, like of all the Japan stuff, which had an influence in America. You've got a stable of brothers, and they're really good at jiu-jitsu, and they're coming over. It's an American jiu-jitsu and wrestling. The storylines were very different than they
Remember,
are today.
it was a Trey Taligman who had one lung. And those guys. Remember that dude? And he only had like the one lung.
Do you know who I still watched? Nick Newell. He only had one hand.
Yeah. Now he was in that transition period where it was probably getting a bit much for me. And I suppose I'm not on social media.
That's true. You
so
were banned. Shadow banned.
But I was like, I used that. That's where all my news came from and whatever. So without that, I've no real access to it except just watching it. So
Yeah.
Warren, I think it's I feel it.
There's a big difference as well between someone like it's pity to have to name someone, but for the sake of the argument, nothing against him, but Bo Nickel, someone like him comes up and he's basically been as close to a professional as an amateur can be since he was 13 years old, and he's getting into MMA as a professional endeavor, and it's very difficult for a character that is disciplined and that is that professional about his diet and his training has kind of bred into him. It's very difficult for that character to be interesting and good crack in the same way that Chris Lieben was, for example.
Yeah.
They're just a different type of athlete coming in now.
Yeah, I think you're talking about as well. People's mental health seems to be pretty decent. If we're talking about Chris Lieben,
That's the problem.
I had a call with a fighter from one of the promotions I work with. He's only 20 years old, and his father. He's been training martial arts since he was about 4 years old. So he's literally brought up to do this. And his inspiration and idol is Wonder Boy. And they were talking to me about what content they can create or how they can try to generate buzz or controversy or stuff for their fight when they want to be a clean athlete. And unfortunately, the way the media works today is these guys don't actually get pushed. You will get cut from the UFC if you are a good fighter but boring. There's guys that have positive records in the UFC that are getting cut now because they can't sell tickets or can't sell fights.
Have they tried being racist?
That guy we were the Blade versus what you call it, Hoboken. What's his name?
Josh Hokett.
What?
Hokett.
Yeah, like he's got such a great idea, as in he's coming in full WWE wrestler kind of thing, and it's a great idea. Like the two of them are heavyweights, and it was a bit rock'em sock'em, but it was undeniably fun fight. But I wanted to hear what he was going to say after the fight, and I wanted to see what he said.
The weigh-in thing was very funny.
Yeah.
When he was nervous before the weigh-in, like that was genuinely hilarious.
Yeah.
he's funny. He's a
and
funny dude.
nobody
What happened? Sorry, I
just
didn't-
pretended to be really nervous doing the weigh-in, which nobody ever does. They come out and they stick out the chest and they flash the guns. He came in kind of.
He's doing a bit. He's constantly doing a bit.
All shy and murmuring incoherently under his breath.
He's got three alter ego characters that he's
Yeah.
playing. So he's like,
Yeah.
I love that idea.
And of course, he's a top-notch athlete as well.
But it's balls to the wall. I'm just going to go for this and make my money, make it into a shtick or whatever.
I think he's going to probably develop another personality if he keeps fighting.
yeah,
like
he's
you
fine.
fucker
I know.
the
We're talking about that, and I might have to retract my comment about people's mental health being better now.
in the cage fighting industry.
yeah.
I will have you know Bryce Mitchell is still on the roster.
But there were guys doing it back in the day who never really thought they would ever make any money out of it. And they just happened to make money. People like Chuck Liddell, I doubt he ever thought he was going to make much money out of it. And he ended up making quite a few bob, or Matt Hughes even, But now people are going into it, and it's going to be from the get-go. It's going, and I understand it makes sense, but from the get go, it's going to be I have to make that.
But it's an
money.
OnlyFans type thing where a small percentage of people will make the money, allegedly.
Okay, and
But that was a great question. He had a second one in the middle there. What was that one?
the second one was just he was kind of it wasn't a question. He said there's no real stars anymore like GSP, Silva, Ronda, McGregor.
But there might be to the young people, like they might have their favorites or whatever.
I don't know if I agree because you have like Ilya Taporia is really big, Pereira's big. There are still stars, but they're less frequent and less pushed. But there are faces of the league.
Do you know they're not? I don't think mainstream breakers, as in the person.
Poster boy.
If you go into a local mace, they're not going to know who Pierre is yet. They're not. Fair to say. You could disagree passionately with me if you want.
You're wrong.
Okay, another question. This is from a man called Lee from Galway. He wants to know, what is everyone's walkout/shower? It's the same thing song. So you're making that walk, you're having a fight. What song are you playing? Or are you just going to sing it in the shower instead? But what would be your walkout song?
Iggy Pop, I'm a Passenger was mine. I still shower like.
So there, Chris.
That's a good
You
song.
were probably before walkout music, were you?
He was before
Music.
Rings.
Yeah.
He used to show
No,
up.
there was like a person playing a lute in the corner.
A harp.
You would harpsichord.
Hearken to Vincent approacheth. His weight be the same as 3 gooses.
Was that in the Coliseum?
Who was your second back in the day?
I think it was Mark Leonard. I think.
He actually has a second.
Yeah, but I don't know if there was a song. I wouldn't care what my song was anyway.
Yeah, you're very much like the movie Warrior. Just, I'll go out to silence. You're very much that kind of personality. Like silence, just walk out through the crowd.
But I'd like a song in the shower, But I mean, I'd rather if someone's singing it live, like say John there. And the showers in Craven House have great acoustics.
It's strange that Lee's equating the shower to the walkout to fight someone, isn't it?
It might be your song in the shower. It might be just what's your song. And he is also known as the Shower King.
What about you, Les?
The Mountain King.
You know that one that was in The Silence of the Lambs, Goodbye Horses, and that's just my shower ritual.
Can you give us an old bar?
Goodbye horses, where you wanna be? Goodbye horses. It doesn't really work. I have to tuck my dick between my legs to get it right. And then I have to look in the mirror and say, would you fuck me?
It sounds good. I'm not familiar with it.
It doesn't sound practiced. Strange for a shower song.
Actually, one of the greatest honors of my musical life was when Tim Murphy walked out to one of my songs.
Hemoglobins or Fuzzburger?
Hemoglobins.
Dietrich von Hemoglobin, you stand before me now in this court, accused of heinous crimes against society. I despise you, you rockophile.
Maybe that was actually the one. That might have been the one that he walked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give us a bar?
No, my agent wouldn't allow it. But yeah, it was.
I will then.
Tom, can you give us a bar?
I did. That was the intro. Yeah,
That was it for Bedham. Because John would make you listen to the entire album anytime you're in the car with him. So everyone's memorized it.
Still do.
We've all been there.
No, but that was awesome.
I'm a rockophile.
Tim was definitely one of my favorite fighters in terms of MMA. But that was a really cool thing.
And Hemoglobins were amazing live. I can speak to that.
Yeah, there was
They had a great lead singer.
It only happened once. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, did that only happen once?
Yeah, we only played once.
Do you remember more than
I was
once?
at that gig, man.
Do you remember more than once?
No.
What about you, Darren?
I like Irish music, and I like that. I've always been very proud of being Irish, so it'd have to be like an Irish singer. It's gonna be pretty lame.
Dolores Kane.
Yeah, no.
You could do something.
Maybe
woman's
Dermot-
heart.
So I'm like, do you know, I really like, recently I've been liking Kingfisher, so like Killa is pretty good, even though it's
Oh, it's a great song.
overplayed now.
Oh, no, it's a great song.
Dermot Kennedy's kind of one of my, but these are like fucking slow emotional songs that I enjoy most. So it's like, I'll make my opponent cry before the time
Slow
before I get out
walkout
there.
is very
yeah.
powerful. Very powerful. A slow Irish ballad is very powerful to walk out, I'd say.
What about Jedward?
Not quite the same Ireland now. That's more the Protestant Dublin Ireland.
How about you, Marcus? One of your own songs.
No, that'd be the most cringe thing you could do, to be honest with you. Go out to one of your own songs.
What about that one where parachute? Take your parachute and jump.
Oh, that's good. Hey, I might have to change it to that.
I will.
Your one should be Fields of Gold by Sting.
Yeah. I don't like pun songs like that for that. You do, I don't want some,
I think you could write one for each walkout.
I could
About
obviously
the
I could
venue
do
and
it
the
for you.
opponent.
I
Slagging
can-
off the opponent.
Yeah.
Tell them, boys, what time it's going to end.
I think-
knockout. Turn round.
I think I would like to have a song that is subtly mocking or taking shots at my opponent. So I would probably choose the music based on that. You know?
Going kick you in the leg.
Yeah.
Kick you in the leg. Kick. And then never kick him.
I think. Did we ever decide that your fight name should be The Killing?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Marcus,
we
the
came up with
killing
that, too.
feels.
Yeah, I think
Paddy.
you also pushed hard for Marcus running naked through the fields. you
What
also
about run through the fields?
you were a big advocate for that.
But it's an awkward nickname though, because
long.
if you were ever in an MMA fight and you killed someone, then it's kind of like, oh, I
more
wish I didn't have
hilarious.
that. I wish I
All
didn't
the
have
more
that nickname now.
Imagine in court and you're like,
Then your next fight, you're called the Truth. Why is he called Truth? Oh, I killed a man. Yeah, that's
in the left field.
Mine would be I'm Just Ken.
you'd love that. Yeah, you love that song.
So we
From the
I don't know
Barbie
if
movie,
the listeners
people-
know this, but we have more or less got a band assembled here. Les, John, Marcus, and Tom are all accomplished musicians, to a greater or lesser extent, and have I know Marcus and John have produced albums. Les, have you produced an album? I'm sure you have.
I have not produced
You
an
produced
album.
someone else's album.
I did a bit of production work on an EP, but not a full album.
Yeah, Darren, can you sing? Do you have music?
Bad tone deaf.
Okay, well, you and I could be the roadies for the talent. For the talent here.
Oh, not groupies, roadies. Which
I can lift things.
You could be the informants.
Could be the fluffers.
Like Darren could record the concert, and I could like lift heavy things.
Do like the shaking the shit.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not bad.
Looks like
Fact you don't know what a tambourine is doesn't bode well.
it just looks like you're spraying the place with someone's penis.
Or like the didgeridoo or the triangle.
Les, if you could edit in penises into his hands, that'd be fantastic.
I'm the audio guy. He's got to edit in his own penis.
Sorry.
Darren,
Aaron, if
remember
you could
to
edit in penises into your own hands.
edit the penises out of your hands.
I'm sure you've got a penis library.
Someone's always talking about hand jobs. Every podcast. Can we please not talk about hand jobs in
That'd
the
be a
next
great
podcast?
top 5.
Yeah, but how are we going to get the Nivea for Men hand cream sponsorship if we're not always talking hands?
Oh, my hands are so dry.
Why do you think we were talking to, Jimmy Fingers? Like it's all leading towards the big deal. That's all our questions, guys. Thanks for, as always, you can get us at Strange Wolves MMA Galway on Instagram and Facebook. You can send us any questions that are just keeping you up at night about MMA. Maybe you're politicking hard to get Tom's top 5 back. Have it trending, top 5 Toms. And yeah, thanks.
And send us your answers. We'd love to know. We love you all, listeners.
Yeah, we definitely read your answer. Your opinion matters too.
We care.
The end.
Keep it crabby.
Sound system a bubble the energy high. 2 champion rude girls under the sky. 1 from the silver screen, 1 from the pit. A scuffle so legendary the whole world a grit. Gina Carano the original spark. In a Carano, the original spark. Who's Ronda Rousey, leave a champion mark. High intensity, pure verbal fire. Pull up the rhythm, make the voltage get higher. Broke out the cage, make the history go on. Carano and Rousey, a new day are done. No medal for a second, just glory inside. Who a go take the title at the midnight light? Pure energy, high frequency fire. Move to the front, make the rhythm get higher. Oh, move to the front, make the rhythm get higher. Carano a move with the cinematic grace. Rousey a rush with the judo pace. And arm a go snap or a strike a go land. Fictional scuffle but it out of a hand. Irie vibrations not the warrior zone. Take the title or leave it alone. No movie script can hold this heat when the legendary icons meet on the street. On the street.
I will have my revenge.